Mm, all right, how's life? How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. What are we talking about today?
I guess I just wanted to further. I want to make sense more of what you said on the stream without people screaming and
Haha, you
everything
thought I
going
wasn't going to be
crazy.
screaming today?
I mean, you can scream at me, but when everyone else is screaming over me, and it's like, oh my god, I can't even fucking. I don't know. Yeah, I'm happy with you screaming at me.
I won't
Kind of
scream
like
at
it.
you, don't
So
worry.
go
But,
ahead. Go ahead. Do it. It's fine.
okay.
I heard you were like rolling your eyes. You're like, Tara Babcock wants to talk about something.
Oh, yeah, because I usually want to kill myself when I have this conversation, but that's just
Well,
my memes for stream. Don't worry, I won't do it here. It'll be
no.
okay, okay? I'm excited. I got a hot chocolate, so I'm ready for this one, okay?
All right. So last time we talked, we were talking about like the responsibility of the content creator, you know, for like what he puts out there and how other people might take it or whatever. And you said you had some kind of like actual data that shows that like racist jokes, for instance, actually do turn into radicalization or
Um,
something. Or was that Alibril? I can't fucking remember.
that's probably Albro. I'm not sure what kind of data I would have for something like that. I think I can describe like pathways, and then we could probably look up studies along the way to support my arguments, but yeah, I guess do you want to lay out, I guess, like your kind of like foundational, like tell us what you think about that.
Well, for me personally, where I stand is I'm just a free speech absolutist, but I
Ooh,
can always change my mind.
okay.
You know?
I want to poke
So
I want to poke that
go
a little
ahead.
bit, okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. What do you mean when you say you're a free speech absolutist?
Like I honestly don't think that Charles Manson should be in jail or should have been in jail. Like when you tell someone to kill themselves or tell someone to do something, I still don't think that the onus is on the person who told them to do the thing.
Okay. Um well here, let's get off of examples. So, you think that free speech in and of itself is good regardless of the effects it has on other people?
Yeah, I think that the ramifications of kind of curtailing free speech are more than what can happen if you allow free speech.
What if somebody could demonstrate the opposite? Do you think you would change your mind on that? So if somebody could
Yeah.
demonstrate, for instance, that more harm comes from certain types of speech than benefits.
Yeah, but then I also think that we would probably come to an impasse because it would be a subjective, like personal preference type of thing. Like you'll probably think that like, well, hurting, not necessarily you, but let's say someone cares more about hurting someone's feelings than they care about actually saying the things that they want to say or being genuine on their platforms or whatever. Like I can understand that position. It's just not a position that I hold because I personally think that like I also like when anyone says like, oh, some word hurts my feelings or something that you say hurts my feelings or like something is harmful because people might think a certain way. I I always like if someone is taking me wrong, I'll always clear it up, you know? And I always want people to become stronger people. Like I understand the argument where like, oh, you can take criticism or you can take people saying these words to you, but not everyone can. I understand that and I understand people being sensitive to those sensitivities that other people have, but I also think that it's more important to not be a huge pussy and to like get stronger and not allow words to control you. Other people's words should never control you, and saying that rather than curtailing my own speech makes more sense to me. Like I'm not actually trying to hurt you. My intent is not to hurt you, or my intent is not to start some kind of horrible degenerate fucking culture or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I would rather I have a big thing where I can't I don't like lying. I don't like not being myself. I would rather just be comfortably on my own platform. But I understand that there might be ramifications to that, you know. So I don't know. You would have to convince me that there actually would be more harm. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So are you convince me? Fuck.
Okay, so okay, I'm thinking. So from a personal level, I agree with everything you said. Personally, I try not to get upset by certain things, and I think that giving people advice personally to try to overcome different people saying certain things to you and not giving people control of you, I think is a good thing. However, I think that this is kind of a surface level look at things because the unfortunate reality is that words are really never just words because ultimately these can manifest in other ways. So for instance, let's say that you have people that hate gay people. They tell a bunch of anti-gay jokes. They use the F word a lot towards gay people. They hate gay people. And we say, like, well, they're just using those words. It's not a big deal. Don't let them bother you, blah, blah, blah. But then let's say that 5 years down the road, there are so many of these people that now they're voting against things like gay marriage. Now you've got something where it's not really just people talking anymore. Now people are actually like demonstrably harming you via their speech by way of like legislation. Do you agree that that would be like a measurable harm to have people that are voting against your interests in the United States?
I mean, I don't think that the speech is what gets them there. I don't think that just saying the F slur is what gets them there. And I think that, like, do you really think that there's a certain type of speech that is more, it changes people's minds more? Like, do you think that these people who really hate gay people and want people to vote a certain way, do you think that, like, when it's just hard for me to believe that people joking about that word who don't have that intent and people who have that intent are gonna make more people than would otherwise change their minds. So are you arguing from a standpoint like you personally morally don't want to do it because you don't want to contribute to it, or are you saying that we should actually have some legislation against it?
I'm not too sure yet, actually. I would have to think more about that. But that's a little bit past where we're at right now. We can get to that part of the conversation. My personal position, the ethical framework that I view decisions through is a consequentialist one. So I don't inherently believe any action is good or bad. What I typically want to do is maximize the amount of well-being for as many people as possible. So through that framework, I look at something like free speech, and I don't really care about free speech in and of itself. I care about whether or not certain types of speech are providing benefit to most people, and whether or not there's like an overall benefit being served for all types of speech. Generally, I'm a pretty big free speech person because I think it does serve most people, but I do think it's important to recognize the consequences of certain speech and maybe take a look at how some speech is platformed. I think it's good to be aware of both sides of it.
Okay, so how do you think someone like you or me who aren't against gay people saying the F word like trickles down into something actually being harmful to gay people?
So, there's a name for this fucking pyramid, and I just watched it a while ago in the video. But basically, what you kind of have is you have people that have no interest whatsoever in hurting certain groups of people, and then you have people that are literally ready to go genocide certain groups of people. The pyramid of violence might be what it's called. But basically, the idea is that what you can do is if you take a population of people and you introduce them to a certain type of humor, you do that relentlessly and you normalize that humor, people become desensitized to hearing certain types of ideas platformed and are more likely to kind of listen to those ideas less critically, or maybe more critically, depending on how you look at it in the future. So for instance, if I were to suddenly start using a bunch of jokes on my stream about how dumb Jewish people were or corrupt Jewish people are, and I were to do that over the course of months and months and months, if we were to start watching videos about how Jews are actually controlling the West, there are going to be some people that look at that a little bit more favorably because we've normalized so much anti-Jewish humor in the stream. I think.
Oh my God, hold on.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. My fucking. Guys, my stream deck's not working. Please don't do any sub. Oh, I can just mute it. Okay, sorry. I couldn't hear you at all. My fucking sub thing went off. Okay, pick up.
So I think generally what people do is people use humor to kind of normalize certain concepts. People use humor to introduce people to certain concepts. And once you've embraced the humor enough, it becomes easier to actually pass like real ideas into your mind because you're so used to joking about it that I guess it becomes more believable to you. Do you believe in that concept, or do you think that's totally not true at all?
Okay, I generally think that people are really fucking stupid, right? And I think that most people don't scrutinize their beliefs enough. But I don't know, like I can be open to that actually happening, but still, again, it's like, why then should it has to be like, I don't know, like for me personally, I think I care more about me being able to do what I want on my own platform and me being myself on my own platform and like portraying that to my audience than I do about what could in a contrived way push that agenda a little bit, like in some trickle down way, like I feel like it's not like I'm valuing myself over the masses, and I feel like you often value what benefits the most amount of people, like you said, over what you want to do or what would be most comfortable for you. I also think you like, are you just like you care less? Like what if this impacted you? What if you found out that what you like, everything about your stream is like toxic and contributes to that kind of thing, like even talking about opposing opinions or political stuff or whatever, like at what point would that be too much for you to give up for the good of other people?
Well, I mean, if it actually it's hard because to consider this is kind of antithetical to my position. Like, I believe that I'm in a position where I do try to do at least a reasonable amount of good. So to say that I'm doing absolutely none is hard for me to fathom, I guess. But I mean, I would probably try to change up if I thought I was like measurably harming society. I would most likely try to change up what it is I do.
Okay, I think I would have to be convinced probably a little bit more than you would that it's a measurable harm. And then I would also like I don't like subjective stuff. I don't like subjective lines. So like what if I say one like semi-racist joke a month? Obviously I'm not contributing that much. Or should I just like completely cut it out from my like vernacular to even talk about certain things like that? Like it's just so hard for me. I would rather have the rigid line of always free speech and try to, of course, you state your intent so that nothing is ever taken out of context.
Sure. So
Like I
I mean,
think
like,
that's important.
kind of, yeah. So, well, no, I disagree, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
So the I don't like subjective lines is always going to be a problem when we're talking about things as complicated as culture, because like there's no way that we can ever rigidly define even like what is a racist joke. Can arguably be really difficult to define depending on who says it, depending on the context. Like, so it's going to be really hard to draw rigid lines. I think what I'm more interested in is kind of like drawing out general principles that can be adhered to, and then kind of like going from there, I guess. Backing up to something you said earlier, you said people are really stupid and that you shouldn't be held like hostage for your own personal speech based on the stupidity of other people. So one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to reform that statement that people are really stupid. I think that instead of saying people are stupid, I think it makes more sense to say people are oftentimes a victim of circumstance or victim of their environment. Do you agree that these are kind of equivalent statements? I'm just kind of like rephrasing what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people tend to do what is shown around them. If you show somebody a whole bunch of a certain type of thing, there's a decent chance that the person's going to be more warm towards that particular type of thing. I think that
I'm not. Go ahead.
yeah, I think that as long as you recognize that and you're willing to accept that, then it becomes a little bit easier to utter the statement afterwards, like, I want to do what I want to do. As long as you recognize that you do carry the potential to cause harm for groups of people in doing what you want to do. And there might be, types of people that like really, really don't like you as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with people disliking me for whatever reason. I would have to be shown. Like, okay, where is your personal line then? You just don't tell any racist or sexist or homophobic jokes ever anymore?
Well, so when I'm on public platforms, I try not to attack groups that face lots of real life attacks by majority power groups, at least in the United States. I'm sure that I probably fuck up in some country or whatever. But like,
And
so
a joke is an attack?
I don't think that a joke in and of itself is an attack, but I think that
Catching a
repeatedly
stream
joking
with
about
the
certain
ones.
types of groups of people can
VOD squad
normalize
represent.
harmful attitudes towards certain types of people, and that can manifest down the road in people holding certain beliefs that eventually vote a certain way that eventually hurt certain people. I think there's like kind of like a chain in how that works.
Okay. And what is repeatedly? Like occasionally you'll like let it happen sometimes, but you don't want to make it like a habit. You don't want it to be like the main
Or
source
well,
of
for
your
me, I try
entertainment.
to never do it because I don't want somebody to catch me at the wrong time. But like for instance, like so people that do like try hard spam when somebody like jacks a car or when somebody steals something or if somebody like does something like anytime something bad happens when people type like black people emotes in chat, like I don't think that kind of stuff is funny because I think that like I think that it kind of like normalizes this attitude. Well, black people are all criminals, or like the Anil stuff. I think Canute got in trouble for that when somebody got arrested and he was like Anil or whatever, like all Muslims get, arrested or are card terrorists or whatever. I think that the problem is there are so many people that actually believe this type of stuff. I'm not comfortable joking about it because I don't want to further normalize those types of beliefs.
Okay, so what do you think is the the starting point for someone whose brain is malleable enough to start actually believing those things? Do you think they are neutral about, let's say, black people, or do you think they're kind of starting to go toward the I don't like black people because of past experiences or something? Like, where do you think they are before they hear all of these jokes normalized?
They probably have some very small level of like built-in biases. It really depends on their life experience, but I think, and then humor starts to move them in another direction.
Okay.
Like one thing that people don't realize, and like the big problem I have with these is a lot of people just aren't honest. I think when they have these types of conversations, one thing that people don't realize is there's a saying, there's a little bit of truth in every just kidding. Like certain jokes are only funny because you already have like certain types of attitudes towards certain groups of people. Like if I had a white friend and we went to Germany and like he rented a vehicle and he showed up in like a Ford pickup truck, like I wouldn't say to my white friend, like, watch out, like people are going to look at you funny, because why? 'Cause he's white. That doesn't make any sense. Now, if he was brown or Middle Eastern and I made that joke, well, it's kind of funny because brown people are terrorists, right? Like that's literally the joke, right? The joke gets its laugh from the fact that we have this preconceived notion of a certain minority group of people. And I think that furthering that with more and more and more humor kind of builds on that and leads to more normalization of those attitudes.
Okay, so you're not saying that the person that makes the joke, uh, okay, you know the seeing some truth in the joke. I agree with that, but I don't think it necessarily has to be either the teller of the joke or the consumer of the joke that actually thinks those things. I think it has to be like a stereotype that exists, not necessarily something they agree with, right?
Yeah,
So,
no,
so
well,
neither
exactly. Like
person
neither
has
person
to
has to
necessarily
be. Yeah, neither person can
racist
have bad intent here. Both people could actually have. In fact, both people could even have good intent. Both people could actually like Middle Eastern people and don't think that type of racist stuff is okay. You know, that's one of the harder things about this type of speech that spreads. That's kind of harmful. Is it's one of those things where technically, have you ever watched The Wire?
No.
Fuck. Okay. It's one of those things where like you can have a whole system that winds up being like pretty homophobic, like an entire system that does it. And there's only really like a few people that are genuine bad faith actors. Like for the most part, a lot of people are just kind of like along for the ride, kind of like because of what you said initially, people are dumb, reformed to like people are kind of victims of circumstance, I think.
Okay. I just every time I think about this, I keep going back to thinking about it not being normalized kind of just feels like it's auto-radicalizing anyone who would find those jokes funny. Like if they don't have a place to, if it's not normal or okay around their group of friends or to hear on a YouTube video or something, these kinds of jokes, but they think these kinds of jokes are funny or they want to say these kinds of jokes, I just feel like that kind of person that actually is neutral might be pushed toward these like 4chan style like white supremacist, white nationalist groups because that's the only place that they can talk about these things, and then they get radicalized from that. And that's what I always thought. I thought that if we don't normalize this stuff, then we're essentially radicalizing the people who wouldn't necessarily be that way because they can't find friendship in anyone and they feel like they're constantly being I like okay, so on the podcast, it felt like I get that being racist is bad. I get that being shooting up a school or whatever is bad. I get that all these things are bad, But I don't understand why we have to be so angry at it. I don't know why we can't look at it through a more understanding lens. And I'm not saying being understanding of them. I'm saying understand them. Like understand.
No,
where
I
they're
totally
coming
agree.
from.
This is
Like
why, this is why I'm popular in what I do, because I don't usually come at it from like the screeching, like you've got white privilege and everything you say is stupid and blah, 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 blah. I do think that on the left, or I guess like progressives are usually really bad at communicating their points because of stuff I've said before. Like if you come at somebody and you tell them immediately that they're a racist and they don't feel like they're a racist, they're probably not going to listen to anything that you say because they know that you're wrong. So they're going to write you off immediately for sure.
Yeah, but isn't joke demonizing a little bit of a form of that?
Someone
makes a joke like that and you're like, hey, you can't fucking talk about shit like that. And then you're making that person feel like they're other or something. And they want to go find a place where they feel like they can find people who would find that funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are ways that you have to call this out and not, like, really aggressively. But, I mean, you're also not really considering the flip side of this either, right? So, like, on one hand, you've got a person and you're really, really scared of saying something that might hurt their feelings because you're telling them that you don't want them to joke about a certain thing. But what you're ignoring is, like, well, if we let them joke about a certain thing, there's, like, a very real group of people that are, like, measurably harmed by the spread of these types of pervasive thoughts. Which I think is something that we kind of overlook a lot, especially if we don't belong to any of those groups. Like realistically, like whatever, like every LGBT person in the world can be fucking discriminated against. It doesn't affect why, I don't know about you, but it doesn't affect me at the end of the day. Or same thing with black people or Hispanic people or Middle Eastern people. Like, I mean, I'm white and straight and male, and so it's whatever. So it's like, it's easier for me to say like, well, hold on, like I should be able to say whatever joke because at the end of the day, they really don't affect me. But I don't think we consider a lot that there are a lot of these groups of people that are belonging to a lot of, these larger groups that kind of end up feeling like shit when people constantly, take jokes at their expense, I think.
Yeah, that's something I can't understand from any point of view because I can't imagine being offended by a joke, so it's hard for me to empathize with that truly. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter if I'm a part of it, like I've never been offended by like bimbo jokes or sexist jokes or anything. So from my standpoint,
this is like I'm taking a lot of wild shots here and making a lot of assumptions about you, which is kind of unfair. But in some ways, you being a woman that's attractive, that does what she does, like kind of benefits you in a lot of ways. But maybe let's say that if you would have, and I don't know if you did this, but like, so you're okay with like people joking about it right now because it's not really like a negative aspect to you. It's literally how you make your living. Let's say that you wanted to go into engineering or you wanted to be a doctor or something, and then people started making those jokes in conjunction with excluding you from groups and whatnot. I feel like you might have like a slightly different opinion of like how you hear that those types of jokes, if it's actively being used to discriminate against you rather than people that are just attacking you, but you actually use it as like a form of strength, I guess.
Well, I mean, there are times when I'm trying to do something serious and I literally cannot be taken seriously because of the way that I look, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just like a thing that happens. I just feel like if there is a way for anyone to ever become okay with these kinds of jokes that target their little demographic or whatever, I feel like they should. And that's another ramification of not allowing people to hear that kind of criticism within a joke, is that a lot of people will become more and more sensitive and very easy to control with words because they're not building a thick skin for it. You know, like I understand that like there's a lot of marginalized groups right now, but I also feel like they should have bigger problems than words and jokes. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally agree with you, and that's kind of one of the problems. Like, the problem is that, like, none of this stuff ever just stops as, like, words or jokes. Like, a lot of these things kind of, like, end up manifesting down the line. Like, if black people only ever had to worry about being called the N-word or something in society, a lot of them probably wouldn't care that much. It's more the fact that, like, if you get pulled over by a cop, you have no idea what that interaction is going to look like. You know, if you do get arrested, you don't know if you're going to get a fair shake in court. If you get turned down for a job, you know, and you're in the South, like, you don't know if it's because the guy just doesn't like you because you're black. If you go to date a girl, something is innocuous. Like, no, well, to some level, like, you're kind of always nervous meeting your girlfriend's parents as a guy. But for black people, holy shit, that experience is way fucking. If you're a black guy dating a white girl, meeting her family is like one of the scariest fucking moments in your life. And these are like a lot of things that like white people don't think of. And it's more than you're not scared that like a police officer is going to call you the N-word, or judge is going to call you the N-word, or your girlfriend's dad is going to call you the N-word. You're worried that there's going to be actual measurable harm done in your life as a result of some of the preconceived notions that people hold about you.
So are you saying like when people say that kind of stuff, you get nervous that people will react in that way? Or are you saying it's kind of like kicking a person while they're down? Like the word alone wouldn't mean anything, but after they've experienced all these like hardships all day and having these problems that like they don't need that as well. Like which
I just think that people at the end of the day don't empathize well with other people, and that if you joke constantly at the expense of certain groups of people, especially people that are already fucked in life, you kind of lead more people to kind of like take on those attitudes. Like something that I've been uncomfortable with for a long time, and I've even stopped doing it over the past probably 2 months, is even like using like autistic or retarded as an insult, because there are a lot of people that have a lot of problems in their lives because of these. And like, I don't know if I normalize that type of humor. Like actually, it still happens today, right? If somebody comes up to you and you know, they're like, hey, I've got cerebral palsy, nobody in chat is going to laugh at that or make fun of them. Nobody's going to make fun of you for having cerebral palsy, because it's a horrible disease and nobody jokes about that. But if somebody comes up to you like, hey, sorry, you know, I'm autistic, everybody in chat is going to start making jokes about it. Like, oh, fuck, what are you fucking asking? Like, everybody's going to laugh about it. And it's like, fuck, like, that kind of sucks, you know? Like, you don't really necessarily have control over either of those things, but people are going to make fun of you for one instead of the other because of the way the kind of culture works around them.
okay. I think I'm better understanding where you come from with it. It's just I don't know. I still see that as like I don't okay, so in that situation the person would be sad because they're being made fun of.
Yeah, and not just that. Again,
And
like, it never stops
yeah,
here.
like
It's like maybe you don't get invited to hang out with groups of friends and you don't know why. You don't know if it's because of something you're fucking up, or if it's because they don't like a particular minority group you belong to, or you don't get a job, or you get an unfair shake somewhere else, right? It's all these questions are always in the back of your head. You know, women deal a lot with this, like in the tech world and whatnot, or even in the business world. Oh, here's like an actual study that like I could look this up if you wanted to go over it. But like, for instance, if a woman presents an idea in a boardroom full of men, she'll get some reception to it. If a man presents the exact same idea, he's more likely to get a more favorable reception than the woman would, just by virtue of being a man, if both presentations are more or less identical. Like, this is stuff that's been studied a lot in the business
yeah.
world.
Oh, with the women and men thing, oh God, I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole, but I honestly feel like, you know, men and women both have their strengths and weaknesses, and with women, they will also get treated initially better, or anything that they do well will be like, oh my God, you did it so well, even though it's something that a man can do easily. I just feel like there are strengths and weaknesses that women have, and to show me that someone won't take something more seriously in one situation, but in other situations the girl has it easier, it's just
Well,
I'm
like
not
so,
convinced
like a
that
lot of
have it
women.
hard.
Well, a lot of women would actually say that they don't like either of those. A comparable thing for black people is, as a black person, it can be really fucking annoying when a white person says to you, "Oh wow, you speak really well." Because like for like an educated black person, it's like the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, how do you expect me to talk? You know? And then same thing with women. A lot of women in tech or like medical stuff don't like the condescending, like, "Oh wow, like you're a woman and you got A's, like that's really good." Like that stuff feels equally as shitty as somebody saying like you don't belong here because you're a woman. So I mean, both parts of these can be disliked by by the minority groups that are affected by them.
Yeah, I can understand that. I, what's the harm in things being unequal?
So this is from my we're running down to like normative ethics. Okay, we're getting very foundational. So for me, I think, because I'm a very big liberal in the sense that I'm pro liberalism, not like liberal conservative, but like for like a liberal society. I'm very much in favor of people having the freedom to choose the things that they truly want to choose to make them happy, as free from environmental pushiness as possible. So if a girl grows up and without kind of being pushed hardcore into anything, decides that she wants to play with computers, or if a boy grows up and he decides that he wants to play with something, I think that people should be free to kind of choose what their interests are and kind of explore that as much as possible with as little negative pressure from society as possible. That would be my goal, my dream society. So if growing up, if you're a girl and you want to play with computers and do that, I don't like the idea of a lot of people telling you, whether it's via TV shows, whether it's via humor and jokes, whether it's via actual teachers or parents, telling you shouldn't play with this because you're a girl and girls tend to be better at these other things. Just because girls or boys, and I agree with you, like men and women are probably on the strict biological level are probably somewhat suited differently, but I don't think that kind of naturalistic argument should lock you into having to follow a certain road in your life. And I don't think people should prejudge you based on your gender or sex on what you have to do either. You should be able to choose what you want to do without people giving you shit for it, I think.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, but I think that overcorrecting for it can often it creates a divide. I don't know.
Well, like
It
what
creates
kind
a
of
divide
like
and go ahead.
overcorrecting? What do you mean by overcorrecting for it?
Like affirmative action type stuff, or like gender quotas, or diversity quotas.
So like I think typically typically the way that it goes for these are totally different arguments. Or well, so if we want to dip into like affirmative action, so the idea is that the thing that sucks about society is that a lot of the stuff we have is like very cyclical. So there's never just like, and this is kind of one of those things earlier that I hate about this topic, it's so complicated. There's never just one thing that would say keep a woman from pursuing a job in tech, right? There's like 20 different stages in life where this could be impacted. So for instance, when you grow up, your parents might buy you different types of toys to play with. So there's a study that shows that women were making gains in like 4 different areas against men in society, except for in computer science, it dramatically dropped off in like the 80s. And one of the hypotheses that people suggest for this is that even though women were starting to make gains here, when video games were introduced, they were only marketed towards boys because they were violent. And as boys got more hands-on experience with video games and all of that and grew up, by the time they hit college, they had way more experience with women than that stuff, right? So maybe just like the toys your parents buy you might push you, on one way or another towards like a certain interest. And then past that, maybe you have teachers that don't treat you as well as boys. Like if you're a girl, you don't get treated as well as a boy in certain topics. A huge meta-analysis, a huge study was published. I want to say this made it to the Life, or Time, not Life, sorry, Time magazine, about like a conclusive meta-analysis that proved that boys in school were more geared towards math than girls. And it had all these studies that went through all this. It was like a huge fucking thing. And what happened was, even though that was considered like really huge, as people went back and they started to analyze the data, what they found out was, well, hold on, it's not just that boys participate in math more than girls. It's literally that if a boy and a girl raise their hand at the same time in class, a teacher is more likely to call on a boy than a girl. That little things like that can push you, right? And then there's like a million more things, right? If every TV show that you watch, is geared towards like showing women doing one thing and men doing another thing, that could push, you towards a different type of career. There's something called the Scully Effect, where a couple people gathered data about women that were more interested in going into like forensics and whatnot, just because they watched not Twilight Zone, the X-Files growing up, and they saw Scully as an agent with Mueller, and because she was doing things, they were more motivated to go into, like science disciplines. There's sorry, I could go on, but like there's like a million little parts of your life like that could come together to kind of push you towards certain fields to do things. And I think that I'm gish the fuck out of you. Sorry, go ahead. You can respond.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that these little things being piled on,
Hmm.
okay, let's say that you're a little girl and you want to go into something
Hmm.
math or something. All these little things like in the back of your mind telling you that you shouldn't really be able to do that or whatever, and you end up growing up going into something else. Do you really think that that person in the back of their mind is thinking like I'm unhappy with my life? Because you can argue that now she actually thinks she wants to do something else, and it's really hard to actually tell if that's just her biology or her preference or something changing in her, because you can always go, you can always persevere and you can always be a woman in tech or something, but are you actually saying that that person who doesn't because they feel like it's going to be too hard is sad now? Because I'm hearing that you're also saying that it's changing what they think about what they should be doing, but then I'm also hearing that you're it's hard to explain.
I mean,
Do
I
you
think that
understand
like,
anything that I'm
yeah, no,
saying?
no, I understand what you're saying. Like, I think that it's what I'm saying is that whatever level of happiness that you achieve in a society that pushes you towards a certain thing, I would think or I would hope that it's possible to, for one, it's more economically efficient, and hopefully you would be happier choosing something that you truly wanted to choose rather than kind of what society pushed you. That like maybe a woman grows up and she kind of wanted to do tech in an early age, but she got pushed out. Now she has kids and she's happy and all of that, but maybe in another lifetime, maybe she would have been happier making the choice to go into tech. And more importantly, maybe it's important to give people that choice. And even if they would be less happier, at least they were able to make that choice on their own rather than society pushing them in a certain direction.
Okay, because I feel like a lot of people who advocate for like the we need to represent women more in video games or tech or whatever, um, I feel like they're kind of doing the same thing that the people who just didn't put those girls in advertisements are doing. They're kind of unless they have perfect equal representation in every ad or in
Hmm.
every classroom or whatever, they're kind of overcorrecting and doing the same thing but opposite.
I
You know,
mean,
and it's really hard to navigate like what exactly is the perfect amount of just having people see things so that they end up doing it, you know?
sure.
Because I feel like it's also the parental responsibility to tell your kid that you can do anything. And if you have a shit parent, like what are you going to do? You know, like
Well,
I
but
don't really
parents,
feel
it's very
like
rare that parents tell their kids they can do anything, right? Like how many, like the difference between how parents treat their daughters and their sons is like pretty massive in society in terms of like what they think their children should be allowed to do.
I don't know.
Well, like, so for instance, like look at like, so here's like a standard thing in society. Look at how protective fathers are of their daughter's sexuality. You would never see somebody treat a son like that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's an example, like, you know, treating a son really poorly if he decides that he wants to wear certain clothes or do things that might be considered feminine, right? Some fathers tend to push their sons into hyper masculine things, like you got to play football, you got to be more rugged. I don't want to say I've seen this firsthand because it's anecdotal bullshit, but like, I mean, like this is something that happens. Like it's pretty well observed in society that fathers will push their sons towards certain things, and sometimes like girls will be pushed towards other things, like you should know how to cook and clean, you should, although not as much today as it was like 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even like, and again, the important thing when I talk about all of these things, the thing that is so frustrating about all this is there are no bad actors here. So my mom, I would consider my mom one of the most like loving people that I know. She's nice, she's warm, she's loving, she loves everybody, blah blah blah. But if I talk to her about like women in the workplace, like my mom will unironically tell me like, I don't know if it's a good idea that women are working. I think women's place is at home taking care of the family. And my mom was in the fucking Air Force, and she'll say this to me, and I don't think it's because she hates women. It's just her kind of way of how she's grown up. So that's like another thing to keep in mind. I'm not saying that any individual person here is like an evil person for killing women and destroying their hopes and dreams. It's just something that we all kind of do that, yeah, that I would hope would kind of change a little bit.
Okay, and you think that it would be changed. Okay, so what needs to change? Do you think just the advertising, the schools, and the way people interact with their male or female children? You want them to be raised as like a nothing?
Well, like I guess like
Or
I mean like my dream or my goal, I guess it always has to be a multifaceted approach. So like in terms of like representation in media, I think having like a diverse cast of people to look up to, I think is really important. There's a lot of little boys that grew up like, oh wow, like I really like Superman, or I really like Batman, or I like all these superheroes, and then there weren't really like counterparts for black people. You had like Blade or Morpheus, I guess. I don't know. You didn't have like a lot of counterparts for black people to look up to, or you didn't have, or if you were a woman, you had like one or two superheroes to look up to, wearing like the Amazonian armor, and like that was all you ever really had. So like mainly it was geared towards, you know, boys, you know, advertising like masculine means honorable and strong and blah blah blah, and feminine is whatever gets left behind that's not cool.
but why do you need to have more than a few people representing it, especially when like for instance with blacks there's less blacks than whites in America, so it would make sense that there are less black superheroes or whatever.
Well, I mean, because you don't need like, I'm not saying that like everything has to necessarily be like 50-50, like all across the board, but I think like having like a decent cast of like people, just so that there are like, if whatever like race or, gender you are, like it would be nice if you had more than like one superhero a decade to look up to. Like I don't think we're at a point right now where like as a white person I'm like, fuck, I just don't have anybody to look up to in society. Like I'm so fucked. I mean, like it's still like majority white. If you look like the Marvel cast, most of the people there are still like white men. I don't think that any position is threatened.
Okay. See, like in the past, I would make the argument, like just naturally, I would make the argument that like, of course, you can do whatever you want, and you don't need a representation to tell you what you can do. But obviously, you're talking about the whole like, it's little things throughout your entire lifetime
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of ingrain that in your brain, and of course, you know that you can do anything, but you don't really feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, it just
Like for
sounds like
instance,
a
like if you're
meme.
like a woman growing up like your whole life, like is there a reason why, like a lot of it doesn't even make sense if you think about it a lot, right? Is there a reason why women are better suited towards being teachers than men? Like we kind of think that
I
like
mean, I would argue that there is
you
biologically.
would, but then if we were to step into a university, most of the professors are men. Or like we would say like women are generally better cooks than men, right? Like women should be cooking. But if we step into any 4-star restaurant, all of the sous chefs and a lot of people back are going to be men. So like even a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
then
the
I would still even argue that that's because like when you get to the top of anything, it's men just obsessively be trying to be the best at something rather than caring to have interpersonal relationships or settle down with a family or something. And
yeah, but I mean, if you go to an IHOP, I mean, you can go to any store that has like line cooking. It's always going to be men line cooking. It's very rare to have a woman on the line in any restaurant, even in like shitty restaurants. And I don't think that like the most ambitious cooks are working, microwaving vegetables in an Applebee's kitchen. I just think that I just think that all of these like little things that you see throughout your entire life, like men are supposed to be doctors, nurses are supposed to be women. Like these are just kind of things that get so ingrained in us for no real reason. I think it's okay to have like different representatives in different areas so that like when you grow up, you're just not stuck with that hardcore. Like if there were a lot of female superheroes and you didn't ever watch superhero movies and you didn't care about it, it's not like it's going to impact anybody negatively. But if you did like them, I think it would be cool to be able to see people there that kind of represent you.
okay.
Kind of like in the World Cup, how like everybody had like the World Cup isn't like 16 teams from Brazil and like one from Germany or something, right? Like it's one team, right? I think it's like one team from every country that participates in the World Cup, because everybody likes to see their team there. It makes people feel good to see that they have representation somewhere. Or if you remember from StarCraft, right, when we had the big debate on whether or not Koreans should be in every single tournament, nobody like that. It blows my mind because people will on one hand say, like, I don't need representation in media, and then everybody wanted to split up all the regions in the world because they were tired of Koreans winning every tournament. Now replace Koreans with white people and then be like a black person in like America watching movies, and it's like the same thing.
Yeah, but I would never argue for splitting up the regions in StarCraft. I just saw that Koreans were better than, foreigners or whatever, and there
Mm-hmm.
was, they had to get better if they wanted to be up on the stage with them. I don't know, like it's really hard for me to empathize because I come from a place where like I feel like I can do anything. I was raised that I can do anything. I was raised pretty agender where I played video games with my dad, and then I was more adventurous, more tomboy, and I can't understand. It's really
I understand what you're saying. Like, there's another thing
I
I
don't
feel.
know how effective correcting for it is either. And like it becomes when it comes becomes compulsory that there's some kind of I don't think I'm not saying that you're saying that everyone should be like you said, it doesn't have to be like full diversity and like forced and stuff. I feel like there are a lot of people that are taking it too far. To the point where they're making things unfun or something, or like worrying too much about offending people, or worrying too much. It's just I don't know.
I guess like the thing that kind of like made me take a step back and really analyze it when you say things like that. So like for instance, like maybe I can't make certain friends because of the type of humor that I use. I think that like at the end of the day, I think it's important to step back and be like, well, hold on, like why is this type of humor so important to me and my character that I literally can't think of? Like, can I really not think of a way to call somebody stupid without comparing them to somebody that's retarded? Is it really impossible for me to do that? Or is that such an important part of my character that I'm willing to like lose friends or seclude myself from the world because I can't let go of that form of humor? I don't know. I feel like that should be something you can overcome.
Well, I understand that position, but I'm not like holding on to one specific type of humor. It's just more like when I think of something in my head or when I want to say able to say it. It's a unique thing. I just want to be able to be myself all the time, 100% of the time, and that's kind of my shtick
Hmm.
on YouTube now, especially. So I don't really care to argue about for myself because no matter the outcome of this, even if you change my mind, I'm probably going to still do it because it's easier for me. And I don't know, I'm a psychopath or something. I don't really care about other people, but I do want to understand other people and where they come from as much and as intimately as I possibly can. And this has just always been kind of a disconnect. I feel like
Sure. I
all
mean,
of these things that you're telling me
mhm.
are they're smart and it seems good, but I don't know if it's actually going to work out the way that you think it would or that it's as important as you think it is.
I mean, so like here's like so I'm similar to you. Unfortunately, I would consider this to be a detriment. I used to consider this to be positive, and that I have a very hard time emotionally relating to other people. When I was in high school, I jerked this off a lot because I thought it was really cool. But now that I'm older, I think it's actually a detriment to my character. A lot of the stuff that I've had to learn has come from personal experiences with other people. So here's an argument, and you might even remember making these arguments. Here's an argument that I used to use a long time ago when it comes to women in video games. I don't think that women should complain so much about being harassed in video games because everybody gets harassed in video games. Literally, no matter who the fuck you are, you've always had somebody call you a word, you've always had somebody hate, you've always had some people do crazy fucking shit, especially somebody like me has gotten more hate than 99% of women in gaming, just by virtue of being as big in public as I am. And I'm a man, so women shouldn't complain about it. I had a friend that was between jobs, and she played a lot of CSGO, and we sat down to play CSGO over the course of a month. And I'd played like a few games with her, but I'd never like hardcore like played a lot of games with her. And when we hopped into a game, the first game that we played, it was CSGO. We loaded it up. I think she called out like 2 people on V or whatever. And as soon as she talked, somebody made some dumb joke like, "Oh, like go why is that a girl? You should go make a sandwich." Well, like some dumb joke, whatever. Okay, that's fine. And then we got through that game, and then we got to the next game, and then the same thing happened. She called out like somebody's unable, and so we're like, "Oh, is that? Well, hold on, is there a woman? Maybe you should be sucking a dick instead of blah blah blah." And by like the 4th or 5th game, I was actually like PTSD'd. Every fucking time we started a game, I was getting anxious, waiting for her to open her mic and say the first thing so everybody could get their stupid fucking jokes out of the way. And after the first day, I was actually done with it. I was actually so fucking triggered that every time we join a game, every fucking game we join, and this was like 5 or 6 years ago, so it's gotten a little bit better now with like Overwatch and everything. But every single fucking game we joined, as soon as she talked, every fucking guy would have the same stupid fucking joke to say over and over and over and over again. And it drove me fucking crazy. And I took that experience. And the embarrassing thing is that I've had experiences like this in my life that I couldn't relate to these types of things. So for instance, if you work in customer service, if you've ever worked retail before, having a customer come up, you scan the item and it doesn't go through. And the customer's like, "Oh, does that mean it's free?" Like even hearing something as innocuous as that is like, fuck, your joke is not funny, dude, fuck off. But like imagine that as a targeted insult over and over and over again. And I started to realize like, well, fuck, like if I heard this shit every single day in my real life, I don't actually know how this would affect me over a long scale of time. I like to think that I'm kind of like this beacon of rationality and like this shit wouldn't get to me, and maybe it even wouldn't, but for most people, holy fuck, this shit is annoying. I can't imagine hearing this on top of like the far worse stuff that targets you because of your gender as well.
So you don't think that the stuff that you get over and over again as you, the streamer, is just as often?
I mean, I probably get it worse, but like, I mean, we also have to consider that like we're pretty exceptional in terms of where we are. Like, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't like a cold motherfucker, right? Like, it's just like by virtue of like surviving to this level. But I don't think it's reasonable to expect the average person, like, like, oh yeah, I've had the FBI calling me twice, to show up at my house. Anybody should be able to do it. Like, I think that's pretty crass, or not crass, or pretty naive of me to expect that any single person could deal with that. So like, yeah, even if I might get like more hate than the average person, I still think it's really important to realize that one, people shouldn't be expected to go through this. And then 2, not everybody can deal with like the same level of hatred as like, high level content creators just by virtue of where we are. Right.
Seems like it's kind of a cycle. Like, girls wouldn't get that much bullshit if they were actually good at video games. But what's stopping girls from being good at video games is the fact that they're currently getting that bullshit.
Yeah, and this is like the shit thing, and there's no bad actors, but like, say like a girl wants to start playing games early on, and then her parents are like, "Stop, like it's your brother's PlayStation or Nintendo, like fuck off, go do something else, it's fine." They get older, they get to high school, and maybe they want to play with games, but now there's not as many girls playing because a lot of them were pushed out of it, and they want to play with their guy friends, but they're always kind of shit at games, and then when they show up, it's very rare that a girl's there, so everybody kind of fawns over them, people are like, "Oh, look at you, fucking e-thought, fucking up our video games," and then you get to online gaming, and the only thing you can play are support classes because you've been bullied out of your whole life, and now you have guys saying, "Well, maybe if you were good at games, we wouldn't be shitting all of you." It's like, well, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. Like, I've been fucked my whole life to try to play games, and now that I want to get involved in it, like, I'm still yeah, it's a horrible fucking nasty cycle, I think.
Yeah, it's just, I always come back in my mind because I experienced that exact same thing. And if I was really fucking good at video games, which I could if I just like stuck to one video game and just like grinded it out and didn't stream it and didn't listen to anyone else, I could get there. And I just don't, I don't feel like that's on anyone else but me that I didn't do that. Like, yeah, people are going to tell you not to do things, but people are always going to be around to tell you not to do things.
Yeah, so like I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to sound like I'm brushing it off, but like that sort of analysis, I don't think serves us well because it's just not a very realistic way to analyze broad groups of people. Like this is like I'll be like a little bit ego driven here. Like I think that I have a penchant for dealing with a lot more than the average person, and I think that because of like the things that I've learned in my life, I think that I'm capable of a lot more than the average person. But I have to be careful and understand, like, because of my circumstances, I am where I am, and it would be foolish of me to demand every other person would rise to some very specific challenges that I was able to meet, because it's not realistic. So, for example, if somebody was, like, really poor and was really fucked, and they had a big health thing coming up, and they're, like, their life is fucked, I wouldn't say to that person, well, listen, dude, I was in your spot, and I became, like, a massive streamer. You should be able to do the same thing, you know? And, like, I mean, I could. That's what all the right-leaning people and all the centrists on YouTube do. Like, they basically will take, like, one-off examples. Like, I can make so much money if I was that person on YouTube, right? Well, it's okay, guys. Like, I was.
Well,
really
is there not some merit in that kind of stuff? Like,
yeah, are you familiar with the term, like, normal distribution? Like, you've got, like, the big hump in the middle and then, like, the things at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, just because there are people that exist at the ends doesn't mean that we can expect everybody to move there. No, I don't think there's much merit in that type of argument. It's kind of like when people say, like, black people are okay in the U.S. because Obama was president. Well, just because one person can make it out, like, that's an exceptional character, you know?
Yeah, but on one side, you're making excuses. On the other side, you're... So like, on your end, on the extreme end of what you are saying is making excuses. On the extreme end where I am, it's expecting way too much of the average person. But I think there are also merits to the stuff that I say. It's kind of empowering in a way.
Well, like what you say is like, it's kind of like mindfucky, but like what you would say, I would always give as personal advice or in the form of self-help advice. Don't let anybody keep you down. Fuck anybody that talks shit to you. Like you have to rise above, you know, you have to be successful, not because of, but in spite of. Like these are things that I would give like as personal pieces of advice to people. But from a broader range, like it's just not realistic to expect, like no class problem or no class struggle has ever been solved by telling, you know, a group of people like, hey guys, you just need to act better. Like you can do it. Like I believe in you, right? You have to change.
That's true. But I think that the one single person, especially someone who's just talking about like philosophy or politics or something, all they can do is really inspire people. You're not going to change any legislation or anything. You're not going to actually...
Well, but you can change legislation, right? So like, for instance, like here's the thing, right? I would assume that like most black people that are in jail have probably committed crimes, right? So what we could do is we could tell black people like, well, stop committing crimes, you won't go to jail. It's like, okay. I mean, that's something we could do. I don't think that's very realistic or like successful, like to tell people to do that. Or maybe we do something where it's like, hey, well, if we make lax some of the, statutory jail times for certain crimes, like say marijuana, maybe if a black person commits a crime, maybe they're not locked in jail that fucks their whole life up. Maybe they just pay a small fine and that black person can still go on to have a family and to be there for their kid. And then that black person's kid won't necessarily be a criminal because he's coming from a two-parent household and he's better off, right? So in this way, we've kind of amended social policy to put people in a better position to make it so like the next generation is better off without just telling people to act better, you know? You can always do both.
Well, yeah, no, I'm actually for that. What I'm saying is you and I, like people with a platform who are just speaking, we can't necessarily, like I'm for certain reforms that will make it so that newer generations don't feel the institutional racism of before, you know, and they have better like starting points or whatever. I'm all for that, but at the same time, I feel like the only thing you really can do, I have a problem. Okay, let's talk about mental health. Like I have a problem with how much it feels like feeling bad for people with mental health or like bad mental health, or like telling people like, it's okay, I'm here for you, just take as much time as you want, like all of that stuff. There's a fine line between like being nice to people who are having issues and also enabling them, you know? Like for me, it's always felt like a lot of the tiptoeing around and stuff is kind of enabling and normalizing them having an issue rather than them going and seeking help. Like you have to take responsibility for that. And so because that's kind of my natural position anyway, is to be colder, I would rather be talking about that end of it. Yeah, of course you should have people in your life that like are there for you and like make excuses for you and stuff, but it just seems like a lot of that, like if we all changed as a society to not do certain jokes, to be more sensitive around, like first of all, a lot of the like minority groups and stuff don't want people to walk on eggshells around them. It can be harmful to walk on eggshells around these people, right? Like they don't want to be treated other, do they? I mean,
so I'll do my brief spiel about, so for mental health stuff really quickly. there's this is a really complicated topic. The big problem with like mental health related stuff, oh god, this sounds so fucking shitty to elitist, is that like if you haven't been there, it's really, 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 really fucking hard to understand that the struggles that somebody with mental health goes through. Like, it's like you're literally like, you go to sleep at night and you are stuck in the bottom of a pit that nobody else can like climb into and help you out of. Like, you feel so absolutely like you feel a loneliness on a level that is inexplicable. Even if you're around other people, you feel so cut off from everybody in society that nobody can understand you. Nobody knows what you feel like. And like these people are so absolutely fucked in a lot of ways that I think in a lot of ways I think it is really positive to provide like some level of understanding for a person that's in that position. Like, now I do agree with you that you shouldn't necessarily like enable unhealthy behavior, but I feel like we're still at a part in society where people are really clueless about the struggles that somebody with like actual like severe depression goes through, because it's so much more than just feeling sad. Like, you know, like when you say, for instance, like if you're feeling sad, here are things that you should do to make yourself feel better. The problem with somebody with depression is they don't even see the point in that, right? Like if you're sad, you have the desire to get better. Most people don't want to be sad, but somebody with depression doesn't want anything. They just exist in this kind of like hollow, empty state where everything in life feels pointless. So I don't necessarily think we're in an area right now where we're indulging too much, you know, in bad mental health enabling. I don't think that necessarily happens right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I navigate a person who has mental health issues? Because like, I don't know if you think this is too off topic, but I genuinely don't know. Like, I always just say like I've never struggled with mental health, but I hope that you're doing your best to not like just self-indulge forever and not get any help. You know, like I really hope that you get help or something. But I don't know. Like, a lot of people say that like, oh, as soon as I went and did XYZ therapy or something, or had some kind of intervention, I got better. But then I see a lot of people who are talking about debilitating anxiety, and it's like, is that actually happening? Or are you just making excuses for not doing the things that you're supposed to do and you want sympathy? Like, it's really hard to tell the difference. So would your argument be just like pretend that everyone is actually feeling the same level of...
I mean, like if somebody says that they're suffering from those problems and you don't want to deal with it, I would say like just don't talk to them. But like I would be really cautious against like delegitimizing people that feel like they have issues. Like, it's
well, yeah, I would
so
never
hard.
try to do that.
Yeah.
But
like,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, like, this is a really, really, fuck, I don't know what to say. It's so hard. Do you think that I'm like a pretty mentally strong person?
I guess. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I would like to think I am. I think I've been through more than most people, and I think I've gotten through like a lot of stuff. But like I've had 2 different periods in my life where I suffered from something similar to depression and then something similar to anxiety. And in both cases, it was very short-lived. Thank the fucking Lord. But like in the second case, like I was actually so fucked that I was like laying in bed, like wanting to do nothing. And like I was literally like texting. This is stuff that I would never consider doing in my normal state. But I was literally like texting like the mother of my child, like telling her that like I would give her full custody because I'm a failure of a person and I don't want to be around my kid anymore. Like, this is like how fucked my head was. And there's no possible way that at that point in time, like anybody could have talked to me and have told me like, are you really just being anxious because it's kind of a me? Like, do you like the attention that you're getting? Like that's like so far outside of the lived experience of a lot of people with mental health that I think you have to be like really, really careful. And it can be really hard to empathize with if you haven't been there, but I would be like really careful in telling people like, I think that you're just being depressed because you're like either really narcissistic or you kind of just want the attention for it. I think that's like,
well, yeah, I wouldn't do that, but like I would try to be gentle about it. But if I see someone that keeps exhibiting this behavior, they're not doing anything to get any help, I would just like kind of nudge them into responsibility for it a little bit, like getting help, because you can, I don't know. I think I feel things differently than other people because like the reason that I'm doing the Raw show and the reason that I'm talking to you right now is because I've developed this weird social anxiety where like what I want to do eventually is to be kind of like you, where I actually have live debates with people, and I feel like I'm okay as long as I'm alone. But I've developed this weird, like, I don't talk to people, and when I do, like, it almost feels like my teeth are chattering because I'm so nervous and stuff, you know? And like, that's why I started doing this stuff, because I'm like, this is not healthy. This isn't a good way to view things, and this isn't going to work out for your goals and stuff. So I just kind of fixed it, but I don't know if I actually had that or it was just something that was starting. And it's really hard because it's all like a personal experience, you know?
Yeah,
like
no, I totally
can't actually
I totally 100% get
quantify
that.
it.
The hard thing to understand about a lot of mental health stuff, and like I've learned all of this like in the past year. So I would have been 100% on your page if you would have talked to me 1 year ago about this. The hard thing with a lot of mental health stuff is that you have an inner person that exists and that has certain desires that you have never questioned before, or I'm guessing. I know I haven't. So like when I think of like there is a so like this is how I used to think of mental health issues. Okay, I have a problem. Like maybe I want to be more social, or maybe I want to talk to more girls, maybe I want to put myself out there more, and I'm kind of nervous to do it. So I'm going to push through, and I'm going to do this because I want to better myself as a person. So what I always thought mental health issues were like a person lets their nervousness get the best of them, and they're just not overcoming it, right? Like you're nervous and you want to do something, and you just got to push through it. And people with mental illness are just people that let that nervousness get the best of them. But it's not that at all. The thing is that like you have this like underlying thing in you that drives you that you have no influence over, and your thoughts can become poisoned before you even know you have them. So instead of, for instance, let's say that I want to put myself out there and talk to more girls, instead of like I'm nervous and I don't want to do it, instead I have this weird thing inside of me where it's like, why would I even do that? Like, I don't think that talking to anybody is going to make me happy. So why would I even try that? So like if I'm in one of these states and somebody tells me like, well, hold on, you just got to do this and this and this to overcome it. It's like, well, why would I want to overcome that? Like, I don't even know if I care about being happy or existing as a happy person. Like, I don't think any of that is going to make me feel better because your thoughts are poison before they even get to your mind. And I think that's the big difference between a lot of mental illness and a lot of just kind of like bad habits. And it's so hard to empathize with because until you've had like that underlying structure really fucked with, it's really hard to understand like, why wouldn't you just do this thing to better yourself? Because all of the struggles that people like you and me have are things that we can confront head on, right? I have a problem. I'm going to do something to fix it because I want to fix it. And I'm not even going to think about the fact that I want to fix it. That's something I take for granted. But with somebody with mental health issues, they might not even want to fix it because their thoughts are already fucked before they get to the front of their head.
Well, fuck. How do you know if you have a mental health issue then? Like,
well, if you want, you can do a fuck ton of psychedelics and then you can have some mental health issues for a while. And that's where I got all my perspective from. Really, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Like that's where like all of this came from. Like my the amount of understanding that I gained for mental health issues after my massive shroom trip has actually been so unbelievable, and I feel so fucking embarrassed for how naive my view was of mental. Like, so for example, my child has hardcore ADHD. Not like he can't he can't really pay attention in class and he's just drawing a lot. Like he's like rolling on the floor in class. Like he cannot stand in a chair or stay in a chair for like 2 minutes. He has to like crawl through tunnels to like help him like release his energy between classes to like maintain focus. It's really hardcore. So we finally got him ADHD medication and it's helped a lot in conjunction with some behavior stuff. Now, when I was thinking about that at the time, I was thinking like, okay, like if my son needs ADHD medication, that's fine. I would never take a medication though for my mind. Even if I was depressed, I would never take a medicine because I don't want it to change me, and I think I can fight through any issue like that. I know I can. I knew that 100% that I could do it. And then after I did a way too big of a dose of psychedelics, and for a few days, I had like a month stretch where I had problems with general anxiety, and then I had something related to depression. And when I was in those states, after coming out of them, the biggest realization I took was that if there was any medication that I could take, whatever the fuck I had to do to fix the inner workings of my mind, I would do it without even a second thought, without even considering it. If somebody could present to me some sort of SSRI that could get me out of a state where I feel no desire towards anything, I wouldn't think twice about doing. And I felt so fucking stupid for thinking before that like, oh, well, I could think my way out of it, because what I never considered was, well, what if the desire for me to think my way out of it is compromised? I've never even considered that thing before. It's just always something that's been there,
Well, at what point do you know that you have a problem then? I'm actually asking because like,
well, like if
I always tell myself that I don't want to make new friends, or I don't want to actually go out and do stuff. And like, I have this problem right now where I don't know. I tell myself I don't want to go out and like do things on the strip. Now that I live in Vegas, there's a lot of shit to do or whatever. I tell myself I don't want to do those things, but at the same time, I also have like a fear of like being randomly attacked or something. And I'm like, well, why would I overcome that fear of being randomly attacked unless I'm already deciding that I'm going to do that thing because I don't really care to do that thing? But like, how do I know if that's a problem? Like, I don't even know. Like, how does one know if they're actually developing a mental problem, or if they're just,
I think that like
their logic is working against them. Like,
I think as long as you have this kind of like inner drive to like better yourself and to do things that make you happy, then I think that's like indicative of a good like default mental position. If you find that you want to do things to hurt yourself or to harm yourself or to fuck yourself over, then I think you'd have a big problem. But as long as you have like a strong, healthy drive, like if you're capable of identifying a problem, if you're like, hey, like this is bad and I need to fix this, and then you're capable of kind of like thinking like, well, what are the steps I can take to fix it? Then you're probably okay. Like that's how I am in my daily life. Like even if there's something I don't like or have a problem, you figure out what it is and then you work to fix it, even if you can't necessarily do it successfully.
So you think it like manifests in like more aspects of your life than just one, if it
For
actually is a problem? Like where you just lose drive to actually better yourself at all?
yeah, it's where you don't even have the desire to better yourself because you don't care because you're like whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know anything about mental health. I just try to understand, but also not enable. You know, it's like a hard, weird, like you've never been there, so you actually can't. Like our brains are crazy. I don't know. I've been watching these ayahuasca, like fucking vlogs and shit. Holy fuck. I want to do that. But going
Fucking
back
do
to
it, dude.
okay, I should, but
Or just do DMT. You don't need to do the full fucking ayahuasca. That shit is a nightmare. Fuck that. But if you do DMT and come out the other side, whew.
isn't DMT more dangerous, like physically? No?
I don't. Whoa, be very responsible. If you're going to do any drug, make sure you do your own independent research before you take anything I say. I don't think that DMT is necessarily like dangerous. I don't think it should be unless you like a crazy fucking dose. I mean, it'll fuck you. Your mind will be, it is a crazy fucking trip. But from my understanding, like if you do ayahuasca, that's like a 24-hour fucking thing. And you're going to be shitting and puking and everything like the whole fucking time. Like it's a much harder thing to deal with because it's on a longer scale of time. But
Oh yeah, and DMT is only like 15 minutes or something?
I think it's like if you smoke DMT, it's like a 10 to 15 minute high at the most.
Oh, okay. I'm really afraid of psychedelics. I feel like bad trip being like I've been told my entire life that all that shit is like really scary, and to lose my mind would be like the loss
Scary
of
on
me, in
levels
my
that you could
opinion, like-
never even imagine. You can't fathom the fucking horror of dissolving yourself into any of these crazy fucking drugs. It is unbelievable. Ooh.
Jesus. So curious though, jeez. So before, when you used to be, because you used to be kind of like a free speech absolutist, right? Like you used to be a little more okay. So like, what were your values then? Like, what did you value, and why didn't you value what you value now more?
Well, the problem, internally, I still have like everything that you're saying are my core beliefs. They really are. Like, I do think that you shouldn't let other people dictate. But I guess like when I grew up, what I kind of started to realize was that my emotional processing and my drives are very far outside the norm. Like if I don't really have many friends, if I had no relationship, if everybody was calling me an idiot, like I'm okay with that. I like wading through forums of people. I fucking went and posted on my Kiwi farms. That shit is fucking funny to me. I enjoy that. I love the conflict. Okay. That's fun for me. However, what I realized over the past like 5 or 6 years was that a lot of this was very, very far outside the norm. And it was really stupid of me to project my internal mechanisms onto other people. And I learned that with a lot of other like events that came up. And it was kind of like after so many events happened, I was like, oh shit, like a lot of what I'm saying is actually furthering dialogue that I totally disagree with. And I can't believe how fucking stupid I was to not see that all of my words were being used in ways that I didn't want them before. And that really bothered me.
Okay.
So
you have to frame things in terms of like what selfishly benefits you, right?
kind of, yeah.
Okay, because I absolutely have to. Like, so for me, the only way I really like knowledge, and that's the only reason that I care to like understand everyone else. Like, it's just like that's what I like, you know. But for me to like fucking deal with it, man up, and then feel also like I'm kind of empowering people to do that, I would have to be benefited. Like I would have to maybe like it's more powerful for me to make friends and to be nicer to people, you know, like maybe that will benefit me in some way. I don't know. Like it sounds horrible, I know.
No, I mean, like,
But-
I mean, I've been where you are. Like, I mean, not to say that like I'm better now, but like I understand like your thought process because I've had a lot of these thoughts before. One specific thing, like here's an example of something I used to say that I still internally believe, but I realize not everybody does, and I was really fucking irritated when I found this out. I used to always say I don't care what the main character of a movie or a video game looks like as long as it's a good story or a good game. And personally, genuinely inside, I don't care. I've been to South Korea, I've been to Taiwan, I've been to New Zealand, I've been to all these different places. I don't give a fuck if everybody's Asian. I'll go hang out with the offline TV people. Some of them will fucking speak Korean if they don't want me to say. It doesn't bother me. I don't care if I'm with a bunch of people that look differently. I really do feel that way, and I used to make those arguments publicly all the time. But what I noticed was when games started to come out that were featuring like Hispanic main characters or female main characters, my argument didn't change. I don't give a fuck. If there's a game when the lead is like a transgender fucking black whatever, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I still don't care. But all of the people that I thought agreed with me before were all of a sudden starting to freak the fuck out. Like, well, hold on. Why do we need women in games? Why do we need black people in games? Like, well, what do you mean? Wait, hold on. I thought we didn't care about this stuff. And then I realized that all of the rhetoric that I'd used, all of the speeches I'd given, all of the points that I thought I'd made so logically consistently were really just being used by a bunch of insecure people to further the status quo. They actually didn't care about what I was saying. It was just a convenient truth for them because it furthered their own beliefs, which was they actually do want people that look like them. They want white men in all the video games. And that kind of shit really fucking bothered me.
Holy shit. So, yeah, because I feel the same. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. So you feel like the majority of people who think like you do because you're so different are probably bad actors or potential bad actors?
Yeah, I think basically what happened was like a lot of my arguments kind of just ended up furthering a status quo. And I didn't realize it at the time because I was too naive. I was too busy projecting my own internal thoughts into other people because I kind of thought that like anybody can do what I can do. I don't think I'm very exceptional. Like I think that I just got really lucky, blah, blah, blah. And I was just a little bit naive insofar as how other people thought of things. And yeah, and I projected my own thinking onto a lot of other people. It's just really bad.
Well, how do you know if you're actually different or if you're just hearing from like a vocal minority? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, I mean, I just basically look at like broad, like if you look at like Kotaku in action, like that subreddit is like a really good example. Like I used to be like a Kotaku in action hero. When I posted that my dick pic was being hosted on a subreddit somewhere, I had like the #1 upvoted post of all time in that subreddit for a while. There was so many people behind me. And then as soon as I started to see places like that, like especially a lot of the Gamergate movement was like starting to freak out because there were like women in video games and like a lot of the arguments that people would make. Like for instance, if I were to release a movie with 5 male actors and the movie sucked, it would just be a bad movie. But if I release a movie with 5 female actors and the movie sucked, well, now it's a bad movie because of diversity. Like, why can't it just be a bad movie on its own? I basically, like, when I started to pay more attention to the arguments, I realized, well, hold on. I don't think a lot of the people actually believe in what I'm saying. I think that I was just kind of like a convenient, like, mouthpiece. There's a name for this, like a useful idiot, basically useful at the time. Yeah, where basically people were just kind of like writing because I'm really good at arguing and I talk fast and my points sound good. So they would just hop on because I was furthering the status quo. But as soon as, like, that started to change, like, people were like, well, fuck, hold on. I don't like this anymore. I'm going to go find a more convenient truth that kind of suits me right now.
Why is it not enough, though, to just distance yourself from that whenever it comes up? Or to, I don't know, because I think there's, it makes you more interesting if you hold certain opinions, but you don't have the same intent as everyone else. If you're just like a weirdo or you're different or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, it kind of does. So, like, here's something that, like, so if you go on Reset Era right now, there's a huge thread of people shitting on me there because I'm not progressive enough for them. So, for me personally, I make a lot of racist jokes and shit. Personally, I do. I'm very fucking edgy in my personal conversations. My rationale there is that I'm only with people that I know, and I know that these people have certain beliefs. And as long as like somebody's not actually like somebody that hates gay people, yeah, I'm gonna get engaged in a lot of racy humor with them. However, I'm not going to do that publicly because I don't know who's listening to my message at any point in time. And I don't want to be I don't even want to be remotely responsible for somebody that feels some sort of camaraderie or empowerment with the things that I say. My big turning point, a lot of people accuse me of like bandwagoning this, but it was actually way back in 2013, I radically changed my view of the word faggot. I used to use that word all the fucking time, especially if you were in the Stargate scene, everybody used it, or everybody in gaming used it, right? And yeah. I had a moment where when I was in Poland, I was listening to 2 people talk, and one of the other people said that, and the way that they said it, I realized like, oh shit, this guy actually hates gay people. And I never had that happen to me before, where I heard somebody use that word and then use it in a way where it's like, wow, this guy actually hates gay people. And as soon as he said it, what I realized was when I was in that house, I was so fucking uncomfortable ever saying a word like that around him because I don't know if he thinks like, well, maybe Destiny hates gay people too. Like we're like cool like that. I never wanted to say it. And then when I got back to my stream, I started to apply it there. Like, are there people that listen to me that actually don't like gay people? And when they hear me use certain words that are really only powerful because at one point they demean gay people, do they think that there's some sort of camaraderie there? Do they think that they have like an ally or a friend there? And I don't want to ever give that impression. Like, fuck those people. So I won't use that word. Or I avoid like a lot of kind of like racial stereotypes of humor because I don't want somebody listening to my stream that like thinks that, who thinks I'm like secretly like, oh yeah, like Destiny's really into that shit too. Like fucking awesome, bro, you know?
So personally for you, what is you just don't want people to think that you might be advocating for that sort of thing? It like grosses you out or something? Like what's the personal benefit there to not being a part of that?
I don't want, well, it's twofold. One, I don't want those groups of people that are disproportionately impacted by those types of words. I don't want them to feel like shit when I talk, because I don't mean them to. I don't want you to feel bad if I say some shit like that. So I'll avoid that if I think if it fucks those type of people. And then two, I don't want people that do think that stuff to feel empowered because they hear me saying certain things. So they think that they have like an ally in that fight.
Okay. Yeah, I've experienced occasionally like some things that I say, I get like a small group of people who like in the comment section will say like, "Oh, she's one of us" or something, and I'm like very fucking
Yes.
not. I've never felt like I needed to do anything or I had more responsibility other than I didn't even feel like it was a responsibility, just something that I did because it was like, "Oh, that's not me," I want to clear this up. To just say that no, that's not what I'm saying. It's different. It's a joke, or it's like for a different reason.
I mean, that's something that like that really bothers me. Like there are certain topics that when I talk about them, I have to be really careful because I don't want the wrong person feeling like they're an ally. So for instance, like at one point, probably still do, like I'm not entirely sure how I feel about like heavily sexually suggestive content being on Twitch. It's something that I'm kind of on the fence on, and I still lean more towards that it probably shouldn't be here. But like, dude, like if I make like a tweet or something on my old Twitter, if I were to make like a tweet, like I don't think that sexually suggestive content should be on Twitch. Everybody that tweets about it is like, yeah, get these fucking whores with like these fucking low cut tops out of Twitch. Like, whoa, like, dude, whoa,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, this is not what the fuck I am talking about. And like, so I have to be cognizant of that, or I feel like I have a responsibility to, because I don't want like some tweet that I say or some message that I use to get posted on some fucking board where somebody's like, well, look, Destiny's really fucking smart and he says this shit. Like we know we're in the right. Like I don't ever want anybody to feel that way that totally disagrees with my main points.
Okay, with that specifically, I understand why they speak that way. I don't think it's an inherent hatred for women or women's sexuality. It's like the whole feeling disenfranchised because you're looking at someone else's life from the outside and thinking that they have it a lot easier. And I feel like we should deal with racists and all these people who have been pushed to these extremes in the same way and actually engage with them. And I feel like that does more good than pushing them to the fringes and not even letting them speak, or if you do let them speak, demonizing them. I feel like there are a lot of people who would be good and who wouldn't say things like that. And I've actually had it happen to me like a billion fucking times where I engage with someone who's like, fucking whore, put your tits away, like you're good for nothing, but whatever the fuck. And I don't know, I understand where they're coming from, like very much so. And I don't think it should be as much of a fringe thing to talk to those people or about those people or to, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I
feel
try
like
to
no
engage.
matter what, we're shutting down dialogue in some way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, I mean, this is why I'm talking to you, right? Like, I agree that these types of conversations are good. I think that a lot of people on the left or progressives have kind of lost the ability to have these conversations. Like, we just kind of like, or a lot of progressives just kind of take their positions for granted and they don't know how to communicate with people. I would say that's one of the reasons why I stayed so socially conservative for so long, is because somebody would say like, Destiny, you use a word, you must be homophobic. Like, I'm not homophobic. What the fuck? Like, no, I'm not even going to listen to what you're going to say because I know I'm not homophobic, right? So that kept me on the other side of the fence for a long time, because I do think that people on the left have a really fucking hard time engaging with people that think differently from them. And then, like I said, like even today, like Reset Era is like, I think one of the largest boards on the internet where like a bunch of progressives talk. There's a huge thread up right now about how like fucking horrible of a person I am because I'm just a white person that wants to say the N-word all the time. Like, and it's like, fuck, dude, if I don't meet your purity test, like you guys are so far gone. Like, you're never getting to like a Jordan Peterson fan. Like, you're so far like out there. Like, so I mean, like, yeah, I agree that there are like big problems with messaging on the left in terms of like feeling like way too condescending or being like way too haughty over some people.
Yeah, I feel like there's an emotionality to it that doesn't allow you to actually converse with the other side because you're already demonizing the other side as not even a person anymore,
Yeah, sure.
And that's a problem. Okay, so like I don't agree with a lot of the people that you hate on the right, but I can stomach their content and sometimes enjoy their content because it doesn't feel like I'm being told exactly what to think, otherwise I'm a horrible human being, Like it just feels more about freedom. And while it's very easy to dismantle a lot of the arguments that actually matter, I feel like everyone that I encounter on the left, including ContraPoints, which I think you like, it's just too much for me. It's too much of like that condescending, like I have the moral high ground here. Like as a moral nihilist in myself, like I can't stomach that kind of content, And I wish there were more people on the left. And it's crazy that you're on the left now because I can actually talk to someone who's kind of on the left. I don't know. It just seems hard for me to even understand the other side because the other side's screaming at me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I understand. I don't disagree. I'm never going to disagree with that. Yeah, I mean, I still get it from a lot of people on the left that I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, I totally agree.
All right. Well, fuck. I think I talked too long enough. It's too long. I feel bad. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. If you ever want to chat or whatever, just hit me up and let me know, okay?
Okay. Thanks.
Yep, be careful.
Bye.